Okay, this video is Best Old Testament Art chapter from the book Best Christian Art. So here's the book. And basically we had a Old Testament Art part 1. This is part 2. And I went through most of the paintings already in part 1. But a couple things here that are still remaining to go. This is Moses and Joshua at the tabernacle. Okay, so one important point made about this is the tabernacle was made in a very fancy, impressive, creative, beautiful, artistic style. There was a sense of art. And I think that's kind of an important point, that art can glorify God. Because some people will say, oh, you shouldn't have art, or art is idolatry. No, if you're praying to the artistic statue or painting, then that might be, worshiping it like it's a god, fine. But just to enjoy aesthetic painting is a wonderful thing. I mean, when you walk around in nature, you go bird watching, you look at the forest, the trees, the birds with your binoculars and stuff. They're beautiful, okay? That's God's artwork, if you will. So anyways, that was some thoughts on that. Okay, and here is Jonah and the whale, and of course this is symbolic. He's in the whale for 3 days, reminiscent of Christ. Returning, the resurrection after 3 days. And here is the statue of David, and this was a very beautiful statue done by Michelangelo. Of all the David statues, this is by far the best one. I never liked the Donatello one. It's sort of like weak and feminine. I thought this is, almost girlish. I mean, it was David fought Goliath, okay? He was pretty strong. Not as big as Goliath, of course, but he's a pretty tough guy. So anyways, this is the David that was put, out in front in Florence, and it sort of symbolized also, besides the Old Testament meaning of it, it also symbolized Florence, this city-state that had, to a large degree up until that time, really done a wonderful job of keeping its freedom and being incredibly productive in the painting and sculpture and in actually some literature as well. Anyways, so it was a magnificent statue done by Michelangelo in 1504. And here is a painting of the famous episode with David up here looking out over his balcony, seeing Bathsheba taking a bath. And that whole story, very sad. Her husband Uriah, and David tried to bring him home and have him sleep with Bathsheba, but he wouldn't. Got sent out to the front line, and then David realized later what he had done, the whole magnitude of it. And so, it's an interesting story. Okay. Now here is the wisdom of Solomon, the judgment of Solomon with the two women. And which one really, to whom does the baby really belong to? The baby belongs to the woman who would save the baby, even if it meant that she loses the baby to herself. So a famous story. Solomon was pretty wise. He had like hundreds of wives too. He wasn't, so that's a little bit interesting. Okay, now here's one that I kind of like. This one here, let me go up a little more on it. This is called Dry Bones Come Alive from Ezekiel 37:1, painted by Gustave Doré in 1870. And what I like about it is, I'm getting kind of old. I'm 60 years old, and this idea of dry bones come alive, I like it in the sense of the idea of, if you're old, you still take care of yourself, you still have some energy in you. It has more than that in terms of its symbolic meaning in the Old Testament. There's a very good song about this by the singer here. Let me get her. I think I got her name written down here. Yeah, Dry Bones Come Alive, Lauren Daigle. She's a really good singer. She's got a lot of good Christian songs. Okay, so anyways, that's that famous scene, Dry Bones Come Alive. So I say that when I'm warming up for a workout. Okay. Her whole CD, I like it for working out. Okay, now here's another beautiful painting. This one is Samson and Delilah. And, the Philistines were getting overwhelmed by Samson. He was like the strongest man in the world. And they didn't know how to stand up to him. So they got Delilah to seduce him and find out his secret of why he was so strong. It was his hair, so they cut his hair. And then the remaining story of Samson is still pretty interesting as well. He worked as a slave for the Philistines for some time, and then later on when he was sort of chained to the pillars, he brought the pillars down. But anyways, there's a whole bunch of pictures of Samson and Delilah. This is my favorite one by Peter Paul Rubens there. So it's from 1650. Shouldn't have told her what was the secret of his strength. Milton wrote a great poem about Samson, and Milton sort of felt in some ways similar to him. So anyways, that's all for today, and next chapter will be the art of ancient Rome. Hopefully that was interesting for you.